Hey guys, time to dive back into the Barracuda, and today we're gonna work on the seats. And you all seen them before, but let me review kind of what's going on with these front driver seats because they're pretty bad. Okay, now this is the driver's side seat, and you can see it's in pretty bad shape. We have it flipped over. All the foam has come through the springs, which we'll address that in a minute. The sliders are frozen, and this side, which we're going to have to rebuild, is all rusted out, so we only have one bolt to hold the seat in. This bolt's been broken off, so that's going to be kind of a separate issue. And then we'll get the sliders to move if we can, so the seat can go back and forth. But what we're going to do first, all these hog rings, we have to open up all these hog rings, get the seat bottom upholstery off. We can repair the upholstery. We can get rid of all this old dead foam, and then we could start, rebuilding and making this a seat again. So let me get busy breaking this down. We got some trim to take off, all these hog rings to cut or unbend. Let me get that done, and we'll see what we got. Okay, so we got all the hog rings detached from the frame all the way around. That just took basically a needle nose pliers and a little twisting. Not a big deal. You can do this. There's this piece of side trim now this is the driver's seat, so this would be facing, the door. When you open up the door, you see this pretty piece of trim that used to be chrome at one time. And there's 3 1/2-inch nuts you have to take off. This is held in with the stud. These are kind of like an invisible stud on them. Let me get those off, and then we'll detach parts of the seat perch here, get those addressed, and start unupholstering. And here's that piece of side trim. This is going to take some cleaning up, but I think we can still save it. Let's put the nuts back into the captured studs here so we don't lose them. Put this aside. Okay, now let's get these perches unbolted because they're both going to need a lot of work. A lot of work. And these are some nuts on the inside. Make sure you collect those because they're not welded to the frame, and you're going to have to reinstall these eventually. So don't lose your hardware, boys and girls. And then the seat risers, or whatever you want to call these, come right off. This one's not bad. We're going to have to grind that side out and put a new stud in there, weld in a bolt, whatever we have to do. This one we're going to have to find some thick sheet metal, get rid of a lot of the rust, weld this back up because it's cracked, and find a place to mount a new stud. Now the sliders themselves, do move. I know this one moves also, so those are good to go. And then you see these screws here. Can you see that? One in the front, one in the back, on both sides, and we'll get those off so we can get them out and cleaned up. So when we reassemble everything works nice. Okay, the front 2 are these screws, which came out with a regular screwdriver, no big deal. They weren't rusted in, so we got lucky. The backs is a stud that goes down, and there's a nut on the back side. So we'll use a ratcheting wrench to take that off, and we can get these out of the way. But what we do now is just peel back our vinyl. Okay, real easy. Don't go nuts here. Now let's flip the seat over so we can pull this off and get all this ick off of here. Okay. Lurk underneath here. So apparently, to get the bottom out, there's some more hog rings that hold in this beading here. That the back side of that is hog ring to the frame, so let me take those off and then work on getting this whole piece pulled up. So we have the bottom of the seat up. Okay, we disconnected our hog rings that are on the back side of this cord, which separates the panels on the bottom of the upholstery. And then all that's left is to do the dirty and get all this old foam out of here. This is supposed to be protecting the springs from the foam, and you can see it's worn right through, and that's why you're sitting on the floor. So let me do this nasty part, because I'm going to put gloves on. We'll get all this old foam out of here. Now that we got a real good picture of what it's supposed to look like. Okay, an important step. When you're pulling back this upholstery, it's hog ring to the springs through the foam. And then there's this little bar that you can't lose. That's hog ring. This ties the springs together on either side. And then this holds in, the original burlap and everything that actually was supposed to keep the springs separated. You can still see it's present up here, but it's all just decayed. So it's just a time thing. Time an old car. So we go ahead and open all these up, pull this all off. Do not lose this little wire, because that's going to come in handy here in a few steps. Let me finish with the ick here. Kind of more ick. And if you look, there's a bunch of these little wires that tie the springs together. You can see them here. Do your best not to lose those. There's going to be a bunch that are broke, and just pull out like so. But we'll show you how to replace those when we get to that step. But for now, it's just removing all this 60-year-old decay. See all these wires, they're all broke. No, that one looks good. But when we go ahead and reupholster, we'll show you how to reset those up. And this part is just the laborious part of this, getting all this old ick off of the frame. Let me work on that a minute. Get all this conveniently in our handy dandy garage garbage can. And okay, we have all the old stuff off. Springs really aren't bad. I only have one broken spring right on the bottom here, but we can fix that. Most of our little cross braces for underneath the banting, out of 20, I think I got like 5.5 left. So we're gonna have to address that. We'll use some TIG welding rod as support, but I'm gonna go ahead and get the last little bits and pieces of stuff off here. We'll give it a quick fog and black. Not that it needs it, it's not real rusty, they just got some flash rust on it. But that'll cover it up, make it look nice. We'll move forward. But this might be it for today, not the end of the video. So don't click off. But it's getting hot out here in the garage, and there's some stuff I need to prepare so we can repair this correctly, and we also have to wait for the paint to dry once I finish like vacuuming this off and giving it a quick fog. So hang tight, and we'll show you reconstruction. Okay, and moving along with our seat repair, we had one spring that was broke, so we welded that up. And a quick tip for that is when you're welding the spring metal, turn your welder like all the way down, because if you leave it hot, like you're welding plate or something like that, that spring steel in these seats is just gonna like evaporate. So turn your welder all the way down, weld it on both sides. It's a good repair. All right, so we got a couple things done. If you remember, this seat cushion itself was split. It had separated between where the back and the bottom come together. So we restitched that with some double hooked red thread and then used glue, which is this stuff here, Fabritech. It's an upholstery glue to hold the seam together also, and then to lock in all those nice little stitches. And what that is going to do, that's going to hold the seat together where this is previously split. Now we can go in and we can do a little vinyl filler in here to kind of cover this up, but there's not going to be a big gaping hole here anymore. We're going to have to let this glue set up a little bit. We have the bottom of the seat covered to protect the foam from the springs, and we'll be back as soon as the glue dries. All right, now it's time to cut some foam, because here's our centerpiece, and we need a bolster to go around both sides. Okay, some high density furniture foam, and we had traced out where we need to cut this foam because there's going to be 2 layers of it. All right, and cutting this foam, your best friend is this little guy. Yes, the Thanksgiving turkey slicer makes cutting this foam super easy and fast. Let me show you. And we traced out where we need to cut. Very fast, very easy. All right. And how that's going to work, over here, center section, then the first layer of bolster. All right. And then our second set is going to be higher than the centerpiece, which is what we want. So we have a nice, comfortable seat with some bolster on it. And then once we bring the cover down and hog ring it, this will compress a little, but not a lot. With 2 layers of this, it's going to be the perfect depth. These are going to be very cushy, comfortable super seats. So let me get all this started and we'll show you what it looks like. And see what we mean? We have a nice thick bolster for the seat. We have the seat cushion in the middle, and this will give you some support underneath your legs and on the sides. We go ahead and we glue these 2 together with some 3M Super 77 and attach them to the underlayment here. And we're getting very close, guys. Okay, so once you have your foam for your bolster laid out all the way across and it's all glued to each other, you're like, that looks kind of crazy. That's because at this point it is a little crazy. What we're going to do, let me angle this down a little. We're going to shape this foam on the corners here. We're going to round this. We're going to put a bevel on this top edge here so it's nice and round. It doesn't look square like you're sitting in a box. This will be rounded. This will be rounded. We'll round off all this side here. Give all these areas some radius, and then we can put the cover up. And we have our rough cuts done. We've radiused the ends, the corners, the bolsters, trimmed along the side of the front. The side of the front? No, we've trimmed along the front. And then here's what all this work is going to come down to. Once we get all this pulled down, hog ring down the back side. This will sit nice and flat. You'll have a very nice cushion, lots of spring, no hole in the back, and it's going to be a nice riding little Barracuda. So let me finish hog ringing this and we'll slam it back in the car. Okay, here's a quick picture of that front driver's seat riser, where all this metal here was gone. We cleaned all this metal off the best we could, welded it in. It ain't going nowhere. It's also welded up under the backside real well, and should be stronger than the original. All right, so let's wrap this up the best I can. We have our seat reupholstered. It's super comfy and it's got more bolster, so this part will settle in a little bit more towards, you know, in the seam here. But more support than ever. We've repaired the split, glued up the split, cleaned it a couple times, probably use another round of cleaning. So what we've done is we've repaired your seat in your project car. Now, did we go buy all the factory foam and a new factory cushion and new springs and spend $500, $600, $700 to have a seat? No. We spent almost nothing. And it's going to be a very comfortable seat for your driver, for your project car. This was not how to Concord restore your interior, because it's far from it. But this was a basic how-to on to give you a nice seat so you can drive your car, drive your project car instead of having it sit. Maybe take it to work 1 or 2 days a week, all that kind of stuff, and be comfortable and look okay, presentable, I guess. That's going to be it for today, guys. Appreciate each and every one of you. Questions, comments, concerns on all this in the comments. It's going to be a flame show. If you don't have a lot of cash and your driver's seat really sucks, follow these simple instructions and you'll have something nice and comfortable to go somewhere. All right, guys. Thanks again. Talk to you later.